Hi, everyone. Yeah, I'm here to talk about Bitchat. And while the last 5 presentations were amazing, this is the one you want to join. And let me tell you what. Who has heard of Bitchat before? Oh, okay, the majority. I'm going to still describe it. Jack Dorsey created this. He byte coded Bitchat. In July, I think it was. Actually, let me first call to action. Everyone should install Bitchat right now on their phone. It's a very small, like 2 megabyte binary, downloads fast, installs fast, and you'll see that the onboarding is like 0 clicks. So while I yap away about what Bitchat is, everyone should be installing it, and then we can be experiencing it while I speak about it. So what is it? It's a peer-to-peer communications application. It uses mesh networking, Bluetooth. So all of us, once we've installed it, can chat with each other. We can chat in a public forum, public in the sense that people on the mesh network. And you can also private message anyone. Um, it has momentum. I think it gained momentum for multiple reasons. One, Jack Dorsey created it. He's a prominent person. Kind of novel. He like vibe coded this app, and he only had to do a little bit of hand coding on like the Bluetooth network stack or something. Otherwise, he just let AI create this app. It's also, as you're going to see, it has a minimalist design, and I think that attracted people. But then there's real world use cases. So right when he released it, it became a top app in the App Store. But just most recently, there's been protests in Nepal, and reportedly 48,000 people in Nepal downloaded this app and are using it to communicate. Because again, it's a peer-to-peer messaging app. There's no centralized server, so it's not like you connect to Facebook to use this. It's not even like Signal, where there's Signal has centralized servers. This is truly peer-to-peer, only clients involved, and it's a really novel design. So let's talk about the design principles behind Bitchat. I'm going to walk through a few. I did not think of these myself. I asked AI. It generated them for me, and then I ran it by Jack, and he said it did a pretty good job. So I think the AI captured what Jack had in mind for design principles. But as you'll see when you're installing and using it, or through this presentation, it's quite simple and primitive, and just gets you straight into communicating with people straight away. So it's terminal minimalism. It's not like a super pretty UI, but there's really no excess in the UI. Although one thing I'll talk about towards the end is, as more features are added, excess is added as well. So what do we think about that? There's kind of IRC nostalgia. Who's heard of or used IRC? Probably trend towards the older people in the audience. But there's some IRC throwback in this UI design. I think probably the most interesting thing is the immediate accessibility of the design. You install it, you open it, you literally can immediately start chatting with the people here in the mesh network. You don't have to register. You don't have to provide identifiable information about yourself. Don't need an account. You just start chatting. Now, one thing we can talk about for design, though, is if you weren't here in an audience in which I'm telling you to install the app, and you just open it up somewhere else, there might not be anyone nearby with this app. And then you just see nothing. There's no one to chat to. So that's like a challenge with this type of application. As I mentioned, it's ephemeral. It's anonymous, and it's ephemeral identity. You'll notice in this screenshot the purple globe next to people's names there. So with this app, you can chat with anyone in the mesh network, but if you can also star someone. And if you mutually star, it's basically like you become their friend. And what happens underneath in the application is that it creates a Nostr identity for each of you. As a user, you don't even know, you don't have to know what Nostr is. You're not even part of this creation, but it establishes that for you. so that when you do part ways and you're no longer within physical proximity of the person, you can still communicate with them through Nostr, again, without centralized servers. So that's a very, very interesting, unique aspect to this application. I think it's super inspirational. You can imagine this forming whole new social networks. Like you might go to a conference, you might go to a music festival, you might be at school, all these gatherings where you're in physical approximation of people who are like-minded or at least have some kind of commonality. And then you might meet new friends. And then you want to communicate with them when you part ways. And you can do this in a safe way. If both people opt into it, you can then later communicate when you're not near each other. And the last aspect is that there's an emphasis on privacy and safety. So there's a feature in the app, if you triple tap on the screen, it wipes out all your data, all your friendships, all the messages, everything you've created. I've heard one use case for this is like if you're like a teenager and at high school or whatever, and you're chatting with your friends, and then the teacher wants to look at your phone, you can triple tap, and then they can't see what you wrote. Okay, so I don't even know how I'm doing on time, but let's move on to design opportunities. What can we do today? These are just some examples. I don't really care. So whoever joins this group, we can figure out what do we want to focus on. But just to provide some inspiration, one idea, and also to tie this into Bitcoin, is like you can imagine a peer-to-peer exchange. Like you might have some dollars in your wallet and you want to buy Bitcoin, and you can meet up with someone nearby through this app and make that exchange. Not necessarily in order, but just going down to Bitcoin payments. And I think some folks in the audience have already done some work towards adding eCash and Bitcoin payments to Bitchat. So we can walk through what that could look like. What are the use cases? A use case that I think Max brought up on our podcast was you could be at a music festival and people might want to like buy drugs, and you don't want to use existing apps for that. So you could use this privately, and you need to make payments, and you might not have Bitcoin, so you might need to do an exchange first, get some Bitcoin with dollars, and then you can buy what you'd like. Verifying users. So I should have shown a screenshot, but anyone familiar with Signal, where like let's say Stephen Delorme and I, we know each other, we want to communicate over Signal. When we're with each other in person, we can not only connect on Signal, but verify each other looking at cryptographic fingerprints, so that in the future, when I'm chatting with Stephen Delorme, I know that it's his phone that I'm chatting with and not some imposter. Because Bitchat allows you to type in any name you want, like anyone who's installed it right now, you can change your name and you could change it to Stephen. And then am I talking to Stephen or not Stephen? So just like Signal, you can verify and compare these cryptographic fingerprints. But that user interface, I think, could be much more delightful and enjoyable than looking at long alphanumeric strings. So we could dive into what that could look like. GeoHash is a new feature added to Bitchat, where there can be communities all over the world that you can transport into. Like there could be a community right now at an event in Portugal, and we could transport into it and peer into that. We could so we can go into that rabbit hole. Managing growing complexity, as I said, adding GeoHash, for example, definitely added a lot more powerful functionality, but also added complexity. This app's already gone from like dead simple to a little bit more complicated, and I'd say quite a bit more complicated now. There's trade-offs there. So these are some ideas. What can we do this afternoon? We can whiteboard some ideas. We could do UI mocks. Would love to see some vibe coding. So if there's like a vibe coder who would like to join me, that would be super cool. And why do you want to join this group? I'm quite certain Jack's going. I saw Jack yesterday. He asked me, I told him about this 6 weeks ago. He remembered it and asked me about whether I'm still doing Bitchat today. So I think he'll check out our work. So let's do a good job. All right, that's it.